Hello, everyone. It's the first ever live. I don't even know what to expect. Not sure if anyone's got questions, if anyone's got anything to talk about. We're going to talk about everything related to sales. Could be sales training, sales management, sales team stuff, anything sales. What have we got? How many participants have we got? This is my first ever live. I've not run one before. Right, okay. We're focused and we're dialed in now. I've been back to back on calls today. I've been building out this end of year video for 2025 as a look back at the year. And I'm thinking, as I'm looking back at the year, how has the year been? So I'm just gonna talk through how has my year been so far. Let me just load up my map, the calendar of 2025. So I had my assistant mark up where I've been in 2025. Let me show you guys. Okay, so can I share my screen? Okay, so this is my year. And I've mapped out what I did all year, where I was. And I just want to talk through, was this a good year or a bad year? And right now, I can tell you, I've been getting kicked in the face a lot. Let me talk you through all the kind of places I've been throughout the year and how much travel I had to do. So when you see it in red, that's like a flight. So these are all the flights that I had to take throughout the year. And just a bit of an update on how the business has been built. The business that I run, which is for many years before this B2C offer where we train sales reps to become sales managers, it was traditionally a B2B business where we were building sales teams for businesses between 3 and 30 million. And all of my acquisition was going to events and masterminds, shaking hands and meeting people and closing deals in person. And when I was in London, you can see in the early part of this year, January, February, March, April, and May, most of which I was spent in London, I felt like I was genuinely stuck in London because I signed a lease in November in Battersea, a really nice house, 3-story house. It was my first time that I got a house, and the journey in London itself was quite a funny one because when I first moved to London, I actually lived in shared accommodation for many years. So I grew up in Sheffield, and I grew up sharing a bedroom for most of my life. Then I moved to London, and now I'm living in shared accommodation. And the first accommodation I was living in was in Willesden Green, Cricklewood area, one of the worst areas in London, honestly. And the house was just covered with damp. So this room that I moved into, it was painted. It looked nice when I moved in. After the winter came in 2018, it's literally got damp everywhere. And after lockdown, when I moved back to that room, it was just covered. And I couldn't afford to move out. It was £700 a month for the shared room. And then anytime I wanted to move out, they wanted a deposit. I just didn't have the money to move because most people think, oh, why don't you just move to a new place? It costs money to move. So to go from one place to another, I just couldn't afford it. And I didn't have money for a very long time. And I'm just going to explain this for a sec. I did not have any money for a long time. And I lived in damp in this shared accommodation in this shitty place in London. And I remember this girl who used to live downstairs. She used to just be baking lard or boiling lard. I don't know what she used to do. She used to cook and fry shit in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. You're just going to be smelling just the world of shit coming from downstairs. And I'm upstairs thinking, why is this person cooking lard at 3 a.m.? And none of it made sense. And I lived in this place. Then the next place I lived in London, I went traveling and came back. Now I'm living in Tooting. Some of it is a ghetto, but the house is way nicer. Now I've upgraded to a way better shared accommodation. Think of this. I'm 31, 32 years old. Never lived in my own place. Always shared accommodation. Obviously, when I traveled, Airbnbs were always nice. So like I said, I went to Thailand once, 6 months, stayed in my own place. That was nice. But then every time I came back to London, it was just shared accommodation because that's all I can afford. And I remember it got to last year, November, and I got my first house on my own. It was £6,000 a month, London, fancy house in Battersea, 3-story house. It was the first time I had my own space. And I signed a lease for 6 months. There's a whole story how I had to eventually decide I'm done with London. There's no longer a reason for me to be there. And then in May last year, that's when the lease was up. So I signed this lease. You'll see here. I signed that lease in November last year. So I had to stay up until May. And that is exactly when the lease was up. The lease was up like on the 22nd of May. So all of this period here, I had to stay in London. And then I had a trip to New York very early in the year for a mastermind. I remember that was a great mastermind I went to. And then I had a trip to Dubai, another mastermind here. So it was New York and then fly to Dubai, after straight to New York, and then coming back to London. And January, February are freezing cold. And you can see here all of these days where I'm going to see my parents in Sheffield. So every time I've got the time, I'm seeing my parents. And we always look back at dates like this and think we should be seeing our parents way more. And I have that feeling when I look at this calendar. Why am I not going to see them more often? And I think right here, as soon as that lease was up, I went to Austin. So first, I moved to Austin in May. And that was a trip. I remember first moving to the US, and I thought, right, I'm here for 90 days. And I didn't know what to expect. I went to Austin, and I really liked the city, but there was a time where I was working, loads of cool stuff around me is happening, but work wasn't doing that good. I didn't feel like leaving the flat. So I just stayed in so much. And I remember like staying in so much where I would only leave to go to the gym. I'd get a taxi to go to the gym and straight back home. And that actually, I didn't realize I was doing it. What I was doing was, anytime things weren't going well and things were stressful, I just stayed in. And then I ended up going to Austin, New York, Miami, spending months in the US and just not leaving my flat as much. And I think I have this habit of, if I'm not doing good and I'm not progressing, I don't feel like going out. I know it sounds really funny because most people think, oh, you should take your time off, go to the beach, go relax. I'm in Dubai at the moment. But I do this thing which is like, I don't mean to, but it's like almost self-punishment. Because I think, if I'm not doing that good, why should I go celebrate? Why should I go to a party, to a meal, do all this stuff? No, I'm just going to stay home. And that comes from, which is crazy to say, an upbringing where growing up, Asian parents don't want you to go out. I know it sounds crazy. There's this thing installed in us, which is, no, stay in, don't go out. So I had very traditional, strict parents. Now they're super chilled, but they were like so strict. It was like, don't do anything. And now, sometimes I just don't go out anywhere. I'm in Dubai and people say to me, oh, what have you been doing? You've been going doing this. If things aren't going amazingly for me, and they could be going okay, but if they're not going amazing, I don't do anything else. I just sit, and it's actually a bad habit because all the best ideas, all the fresh ideas come from going out. They come from breaking out of the environment, meeting new people, becoming curious about the world, not sitting in staring at the walls. And that was like one habit that I really picked up. And I'm like looking through this year, that was one big realization, that I need to make things more fun. Me as a person, I have like a real silly side, but let's say you looked at all of my content and you only know me through work, you don't see that the person's actually can be silly. You don't think this, you think this person's super serious or they're a certain way. And people have said this to me, oh, you're so serious, like you're really focused, aren't you? And I think, no, I have like a childlike curiosity. I could be very playful and silly, but that side doesn't come out because I'm just grafting and working. Okay, how do I handle prospects saying I need to think about it, but obviously interested? Okay, so still wave sound 10. Why? Okay, I was on a tangent there, or a person story, but we are here for sales, so let's talk about that. How do you know they're obviously interested? What have they said to you? Give me the scenario. Is this just a generic one? You can tell me, is this just a generic one, or is it someone who has said why they're interested? Okay, in a generic scenario, I think you'll give me some detail. In a generic scenario, when someone's asking to think about it, most of the time it's because they're unsure. You can't move forward and send someone your money, your hard-earned money, if you've not made it clear why it's a great decision for them. So if they have to be sure about two things. They got to be sure about the method on how you're going to get them results, and they got to be sure about you're going to get them results, so the outcome. Two things there, method and outcome. They need to be sure on those things. If they're not, they need to think about it. Think about it from their side. Why would they say yes if they're not sure? You would never say yes to something that you're not sure about, especially when you got to send someone some money, even if it's a fiver. I'm not sending you a fiver if I'm not sure. So I would always try to figure out, why is this person not sure? So you want to ask them a very clear question. First, you want to disarm them. So what I tend to do is say, of course, I think thinking about it is something that you want to do, so not a problem. I share my calendar. I load up my calendar, share the screen. I say, do you want to call like tomorrow, today? And then they'll say, oh, I probably can do like tomorrow at like 4 p.m. And I know they're not interested if they start saying things like, yeah, maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks' time, maybe like we should do it. If they start saying things like that, I know this guy's not interested. This guy is just trying to blag me. If they're trying to blag me and they're just trying to move the time scale, I'll just say, a couple of minutes ago, you seemed really serious, but now you're saying a couple of weeks. So I'll just call them out, super direct. But now you're saying it's a couple of weeks. What's changed? And then if they say it's a couple of days, like, oh, let's speak tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And I'll say 3 o'clock tomorrow. So from now till 3 o'clock, what are you going to think about? And I'll loop straight back into objection handling. So from now till 3 o'clock tomorrow, what are you going to think about? Oh, well, I'm going to think about this, and I'm straight back into objection handling that thing. So I think about it as, this guy, this girl is not sure, they're not moving forward. I need to work out why they're not interested. So I just probe. Sometimes we'll disarm them by the calendar trick, and sometimes we'll just chat to them and be direct. And it's really about you knowing this person's not sure. So still wave sound 10, that's your generic scenario. I had to handle it. Might just carry back on with my story now. I was thinking to myself, this is my first ever live. So I don't think there'll be a big turnout today, which is nice to see, like what's going to happen in the coming weeks. But just got to keep serving. With my social media, like my Instagram page, we've got more followers than we had initially. But in the beginning, it was crickets. And everything with me, it always starts with crickets, and I never get embarrassed. I just keep going. And I think that's the big difference from when I was young to now, the maturity of not getting embarrassed when no one shows up, just grinding and keeping going. Well, not no one. We've still got a few lads here. Let's go with the story. I was interested. Where was I? I was telling you, let me load up my calendar again. That always tells me what I've been doing. This is my 2025. So I was in London for early part of the year. Then Austin. I actually remember just staying in loads. Because people look and think, oh, you're in Miami, you're in Austin. And then where did I go? I even forgot. Where is this? Where's purple? Barcelona, that's where I was. And then I went to Barcelona. This was sick. I woke up in August and September. I loved Barcelona. For some reason, Miami, I did not enjoy Miami. I remember like walking around. And initially when I came to Miami, for the first few days, I was with a friend and it was good fun. And after he left, I think I just like was thinking, fucking hell, this is a bit shit. I'm just like on my own. And I just didn't do much. I just like stayed in loads, and I'm in Miami. I don't know. I just pull back to my habit of just staying in and not doing as much. And people think you're traveling and doing all this exciting stuff. And sometimes I'm just dialed in and working. And Miami, that was a time where I was not as focused with work because there was so much going on in my mind, like so many distractions, personal life, family life. And also, I just remember like just not having a good month. That July was a hard month. And I was really looking forward to Barcelona because I knew I wanted to move to Dubai. So you can see I moved to Dubai here in October. But I couldn't move to Dubai because it's too hot. So I'm like, August and September, it's too hot to move to Dubai. I'm just going to go to Barcelona. And Barcelona saved. Barcelona became my proper home. We got a black screen only. Shit. I thought you could see it. Sorry, G, you got a black screen. I was showing you my calendar. But I spent the summer in Barcelona, and that became my new favorite place. 555 NH, who are you? What do you do? Give me your life story. Let's chat. I'm going to stick to these lives. I'm going to start off with just 30 minutes initially. I'm going to push it up to an hour, get some attendance up. $555NH. It's giving you XP points on here. What you can do with these XP points, apparently it's giving you a score. Right, back to Barcelona. Barcelona is my favorite place because it was chilled, relaxed, good weather, and I felt like I could work. I was focused, and I felt like things started to move in the right direction there. And let me just look at my year again. Look at my calendar. Oh, yeah. Barcelona was good. I moved to Dubai in October. A good place that I found where I went in October was Scottsdale. So I flew from Dubai to Scottsdale. That was a horrible flight. I flew from Dubai to Scottsdale, Arizona. I had to go to London, missed the flight that was Scottsdale because of the delay. Then I had to go to LA. Then I had to get to Scottsdale. 3 flights. Okay, I coach high-level boxing in a world-leading combat sports gym. Through your inspiration, I am now marketing myself in a new field, stock and trading. Just help me understand. You're a high-level boxing coach, and what's made you go into stocks and trading? How come you switched it up? You're marketing yourself in a new field, stocks and trading. What does this mean? Are you now selling or are you learning stocks and trading? By the way, I don't know anything about stocks and trading, just in case you have questions about that. I know more about boxing than stocks and trading. I don't even have good boxing knowledge. I can definitely imagine me doing these lives more often. It's actually a good feeling. I don't know. I could just talk and just freestyle it like this. Proud of myself. You can see I got my feet up in the reflection there. Super relaxed, chilled. Why stress? If you're stressing, why are you stressing? I can tell you this. If you're stressed with very little problems, you're not going to be able to handle big problems. I've been dealing with some big problems, and I'd still lie to people and say, oh, no, I'm not stressed. I could be stressed out of my mind and just say, nah, easy, no stress. Recently, I did find myself complaining about things, and I thought, yeah, I had to check myself. Never complain. No one likes a complainer, no matter how much getting kicked in your face. If you trust people, if you've got a friend who you trust and you think letting this person in on the struggles that I have is a good, productive thing to do, then okay, fair enough. But if you're just out here stressing, complaining, no one likes a complainer. No one likes a Debbie Downer. I used to have a friend that used to say that. No one likes a Debbie Downer. Have I got the right mics on here? So, microphone. What microphone's connected? Oh, yeah, it's got the show. It's got the show. How did you know you were ready to step into first management role? I lied. I wasn't ready. So I'll tell you the story. I worked at Virgin Active and it was 2016. The sales manager got sacked. He did something. I don't know what this guy did. He got sacked. They didn't tell us. And I'm a sales rep and I was a top salesperson every single month. I was delusioned, just like most sales reps are. I thought, I'll just take on the sales management role. I'll do it. I will take that burden. And I threw my hat in, and the management, they were like, nah, we don't trust you. We don't think you can do it. But go on, prove yourself. And then what happened was the general manager who was running the gym, he was being changed at the same time. So I thought a new one's coming in. I'll blag it with this new one that I'll pretend as though I was already managing stuff. He didn't believe me. So I got into the job by just saying, no, I'll do it. I know what I'm doing. And then my first day, as a sales manager because they gave me like a temporary title. They were just, what that means is they were making me do the job but not paying me because they thought, go on, then you do it. And there's no manager here, so you might as well do it. And you're not going to get paid for it either. I came to work thinking, yeah, everyone's going to listen to me now. This is 2016. This is almost 10 years ago. And the first thing the girl replied to me who was in the office, yeah, I'm not listening to you. Who are you? You're not my manager. So instantly I was in an uphill battle against people. And reality hit that when you go from working with your teammates to then managing them, that it's a hard graft, changing that. I have spent the last 12 months following your content on sales and taken pointers on basics, lead generation and funnel offer and guidance on new trades on stock market. Okay, nice. I don't really give much like funnel and offer mentorship advice just because I really stick to sales, even though I have great knowledge in those areas. I just mainly just stick to those core topics of sales. But if you've got a question about any of that, just let me know. I'm more than happy to answer it. Mr. Yu, how can I handle B2B professionally? And what should I focus on when speaking to them? B2B what? B2B selling kebabs? B2B, what specifically on B2B? You got 2 minutes because I'm going to log off at 1:30. I've got a call. Handle B2B professionally. Your question, what it looks like is, how do I handle speaking to other businesses professionally? What should I focus on when speaking to them? You've got to give me the scenario. What is your business? What are you selling? What are you flogging to them? Okay, let's put these feet down. My back's been aching. Oh. Unfortunately, I've got a call in 1 minute. So, safe. Let me tell you now. Real estate companies in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so what are you selling to them though? These real estate companies. And how's that B2B? Like real estate companies, you're selling something B2B to them. What are you selling? Man's got a Zoom call in 1 minute, so you got a minute, otherwise I'm going to see you next week. I'm literally loading up the Zoom call that I got to go on in a minute in the background. Okay. We offer an AI service offer. All right. So you offer them AI services to real estate companies in Saudi. What should you focus on when speaking to them? You want to focus on their problems. So this might sound super basic. Focus on what their problems are. So if these are real estate companies, why do they need AI? You should know exactly what they need with AI and ask them questions. For example, if they need to generate more leads, how are you generating leads at the moment? Or what AI are you using when you're generating leads? What specific software are you using? Ask them those loaded questions so then you can genuinely work out what they need help from. If it's a new offer, I'm going to assume it's a new offer. If it is, work out what they need. And if you need to know, I'll give you a tactic before I go. If you're not sure what they need, just book calls and pretend to like a podcast. Say, hey, we're doing podcasts with, content services. What to do is contact these companies and say, hey, we're doing a podcast. We have to feature you on. Get them on your podcast. Give them a taste of what you do. Feature them on your podcast, which is like real estate companies podcast with you about their content. And then at the end of the podcast, give them a pitch. It's an easy way to get them on calls. Easy way. The podcast trick method. But focus on their problems, understand what their problems are, ask them those questions. And I think LinkedIn would be good for you here as well. So I think LinkedIn would be good to find them, message them. Just message as many people as LinkedIn allows you every single day. And you'll get customers. Right, appreciate you guys. I'm going to jump off because I've got another call. I'm going to see you the same time next week. Bring your friends. If they show up, I'll stay on longer. Catch you later. Bye-bye.